Don Quixote, written by Miguel de Cervantes and first published in two parts in 1605 and 1615, is one of the most influential works of literature from the Spanish Golden Age and remains a cornerstone of Western literature. The novel tells the story of Alonso Quixano, an aging minor nobleman who, after reading countless chivalric romances, decides to become a knight-errant under the name Don Quixote de la Mancha. He sets out with his loyal squire, Sancho Panza, to revive chivalry and bring justice to the world, though his adventures often lead to comic misadventures. Part 1. The Origins of Don Quixote. The story begins with Alonso Quixano, who lives in La Mancha and is deeply obsessed with books of chivalry. His obsession drives him to the brink of madness, leading him to believe that he is a knight-errant. He assumes the name Don Quixote de la Mancha, dons an old suit of armor, and mounts his skinny horse, Rocinante. In his delusion, he believes he must revive knight-errantry and embarks on a quest to perform noble deeds. The first sally. Don Quixote's first sally is a disaster. He leaves his village alone, quickly encountering a group of merchants whom he challenges to declare that his beloved Dulcinea del Toboso is the most beautiful lady in the world. When they refuse to comply with his demand, Don Quixote attacks them but is easily beaten and left on the side of the road. A neighboring peasant finds him and returns him to his village, where his friends, the priest and the barber, decide to burn his chivalric books to prevent further madness. The second sally, the adventures begin. Despite his friends' efforts, Don Quixote sets out again, this time with Sancho Panza, a simple farmer who agrees to be his squire in exchange for the promise of governorship of an island. The pair embark on a series of adventures, often with disastrous results. One of the most famous episodes involves Don Quixote attacking windmills, which he believes to be ferocious giants. He charges at them, only to be knocked off his horse. Sancho tries to explain that the giants are merely windmills, but Don Quixote insists that an enchanter must have transformed them. Further misadventures. Don Quixote's misinterpretations of reality continue. He mistakes inns for castles and prostitutes for noble ladies. He frees a group of galley slaves, believing they are oppressed gentlemen, only for them to turn on him and Sancho. He also battles what he perceives to be a fierce giant, which is actually a wineskin, causing a scene at an inn. The reality of knight-errantry. Throughout their travels, Don Quixote's idealism and Sancho's pragmatism create a stark contrast. Sancho often provides comic relief, with his earthy wisdom and proverbs, while Don Quixote's unwavering belief in chivalric ideals leads to numerous beatings and humiliations. Despite their hardships, a bond of loyalty and friendship forms between them. Part 2. A New Beginning. Part 2 of the novel, published 10 years after the first part, picks up with Don Quixote and Sancho recovering from their previous adventures. Cervantes introduces new characters and deepens the relationship between the knight and his squire. Don Quixote's fame has spread, and he becomes a subject of curiosity and manipulation for others. The Duke and Duchess. Don Quixote and Sancho encounter a duke and duchess who, amused by the tales of Don Quixote's madness, decide to play elaborate pranks on him. They convince Sancho that he will indeed govern an island, which turns out to be a village where he is made the governor as part of their amusement. Sancho proves to be surprisingly wise and just in his role, but he ultimately renounces the position, realizing the challenges of leadership and longing for his simple life. The Night of the White Moon. One of the culminating episodes involves Don Quixote being challenged by the Knight of the White Moon, who is actually a disguised bachelor named Samson Carrasco. Carrasco seeks to bring Don Quixote back to his senses by defeating him in combat. The terms of the challenge state that the loser must obey the will of the victor. Don Quixote is defeated and is forced to promise to return to his village and abandon knight-errantry for a year. The return home. Disheartened by his defeat, Don Quixote and Sancho return home. Don Quixote's health begins to decline, and he eventually renounces his chivalric fantasies. He regains his sanity and repents his past follies, but soon after, he dies peacefully in his bed. Sancho mourns the loss of his friend, and the novel ends with a sense of both sadness and closure. Themes and significance. Reality versus illusion. One of the central themes of Don Quixote is the conflict between reality and illusion. Don Quixote's adventures highlight the gap between his idealistic view of the world and the harsh realities he faces. His persistent belief in chivalry in a world that no longer values such ideals underscores the tension between dreams and reality. The nature of madness. Cervantes explores the theme of madness through Don Quixote's character. While he is clearly delusional, his madness is portrayed with a sense of nobility and tragic beauty. Don Quixote's madness allows him to see the world not as it is, but as it should be, revealing a deeper truth about the human condition and the power of imagination. Friendship and loyalty. The relationship between Don Quixote and Sancho Panza is central to the novel. Their contrasting personalities create a dynamic partnership that evolves over the course of their adventures. Despite their differences, they share a deep bond of friendship and loyalty, providing emotional depth to the story. Satire and social critique. Don Quixote is also a satirical work that critiques the social and literary norms of Cervantes' time. It mocks the conventions of chivalric romances and exposes the absurdities of idealism detached from reality. Through humor and irony, Cervantes comments on human folly, social injustice, and the complexities of life. Legacy and impact. Don Quixote has had a profound impact on literature and culture. It is considered one of the first modern novels, blending realism with fantasy and pioneering narrative techniques such as the unreliable narrator. Its influence can be seen in the works of later writers such as Lawrence Stern, James Joyce, and Jorge Luis Borges. The novel's themes and characters have transcended time, inspiring countless adaptations in various forms of media, including theater, film, and art. Don Quixote and Sancho Panza have become archetypal figures, symbolizing the eternal struggle between idealism and pragmatism. In summary, Don Quixote, by Miguel de Cervantes is a rich, multi-layered narrative that combines humor, adventure, and deep philosophical inquiry. It remains a timeless exploration of the human spirit, celebrating the power of dreams while acknowledging the importance of embracing reality.